Okay, it's time for a product review, and this one feels nicely rectangular. Okay, so today we are reviewing the Maze Alpha. Now before we get started, a word about sponsorship and paid reviews. I'm not being paid money for this review, but this sample was free of charge from Gearbest.com. However, the opinions in this review are my own. I don't give good reviews just because I got the kit for free. The other thing to note is that in the video description you'll find links to buy this product on Gearbest.com. Those are affiliate links, which means if you click and buy that way, I make a small commission. If you object to that idea, then just Google up the phone and buy it without following my link. Right, let's get started. The box has a sort of velvety feel to it, which we saw on, I think, the Blueboo S1 and some other phones. Let's open it up and have a look. My, that's a large phone. Anyway, let's just set that phone aside for a moment and see what else we get in the box. Okay, so we get a little, oh, there's the pin for the SIM ejector. It's an interesting little, rather minimal one. We get a screen protector, which feels like it could be tempered glass. Yes, I think that is a tempered glass screen protector, which is good. A couple of little instruction manuals, so instructions and warranty. USB-C cable and a European USB plug. So, USB-C usually means there isn't going to be a headphone jack, but I don't see anywhere in the box an adapter. Anyway, let's have a look and see. Oh no, we have got a headphone jack. That's interesting. Right, so let's take a look at this phone. Okay, so glass front and back, and glass, well, we've got to say glass is a bit of a fingerprint magnet, isn't it? How does it feel in the hand? It feels surprisingly comfortable considering it's quite a slab of a phone. So it feels quite secure in the hand, that's good. So down the bottom here we've got a fingerprint sensor and the front camera, which is at the bottom, which means you have to invert the phone for taking selfies. But we're kind of used to that on some of these minimal bezel phones. There's USB-C and speaker, grill and possibly microphone on the bottom there. On the right hand side we've got volume rocker and power. Those buttons feel like they're metal. On the top we've got just a headphone jack. Some curious sort of marks. I think that might be the little things that separate the antenna. And on the left hand side we've got just the SIM tray. So round on the back here we've got dual camera, we've got single LED flash, and that's about it. And okay, these fingerprints are just because it's cold and my hands are warm. So interestingly, it's not getting too greasy and fingerprinty. So that, whilst we are looking at fingerprints on here, this is condensation from my hands. So anyway, let's power it up and see what it's like. Okay, so straight into the setup. So I'm going to get through all of this and then we will have a look at the phone itself. It's impossible to hold this phone in your hand without kind of comparing it to the Doogee Mix, which we reviewed in an earlier video. Now, it's like the big brother of the Doogee Mix, I suppose. Not quite so rounded on the sides, a little bit squarer on these sides, but actually layout and everything is the same. So we've got the same dual camera and single flash on the back. We've got headphone jack in nearly exactly the same place on the top. We've got SIM tray, we've got volume rocker buttons and power on the side. And the difference on the bottom, of course, is that the Doogee Mix is micro USB and the Maze Alpha is a USB-C. So this is the first time I've seen USB-C and a headphone jack, which is quite a refreshing thing to see. So anyway, on with the review. Okay, so we got through the basic setup. I haven't set up any accounts or anything like that yet, but we've got as far as the welcome screen. So screen's nice and bright and nice and sharp. It's actually a good looking screen. Good angle of view. We aren't in bright sunlight, obviously we are in just bright daylight at the moment, but that's a good angle of view for an IPS screen. The UI seems pretty responsive. I obviously have to find my way around this phone a little bit. I don't know how close we are to the stock Android here. It looks fairly standard to me. With such a large screen as this, I have a feeling I'm going to choose a smaller icon size if I can, because actually everything just looks a bit big on this phone. Let's have a really close look at the screen. That's nice and sharp and crisp and bright. I think that's pretty good. So obviously we've got a bit of a bezel there at the side. Let's have a look and see. Let's get a light coloured screen up here. So there is, as we've seen on most of the other budget bezel-less phones, there's about a 4mm bezel at the top and probably 3.5 at the sides. But there we go. It's a nice big screen. It's, I don't know, probably 88% of the body is screen. It wants to do a wireless update, so I think it would only be fair to let it do that before we review the experience of using the phone. While we're waiting for that update to download, I thought we'd take a quick look at the camera. Now, this is the same camera app that we saw on the Doogee Mix and the Blueboo S1, which doesn't give me great confidence that the camera is going to be great on this phone, because it's a rather limited camera, and we did find, although on screen here I've got to say that looks really nice and sharp for still photos. Anyway, meanwhile we've got a wireless update going on. So actually I'm filming this little segment here after using this phone for 24 hours, so this is a little bit beyond first impressions. So let me tell you, I'm really impressed with the fingerprint unlocking on this phone. It's the best I've seen. So fingerprint unlocking is very good and very reliable, which is quite impressive. So let's have a little look at a couple of other things, shall we? Shall we just watch a YouTube video? Okay, so that was on the speaker, and the sound volume is pretty good. Actually, the sound quality and volume for a little speaker on the bottom of the phone there is actually more than adequate, I would say. Just going to turn the sound down so you can have a look. So this is where we get to see the bezels. Now there is a bit of a top bezel there. A bit more of a top bezel, I think, than we've seen on some of the other budget phones. The quality, you probably can't see it as well as I can on the video here. The quality of the screen, the contrast, the sharpness is just superb. So let's sum up this first impressions video on the Maze Alpha. Well, it feels nice. It feels nice and weighty. It doesn't feel too heavy for its size. The materials are nice. The glass front and back feels good in the hand, and although it's a fingerprint magnet, it doesn't actually seem to be too bad on the back there, apart from condensation fingerprints, which do disappear. The screen seems quite impressive. Fingerprint unlock seems responsive. I like the fact that it's USB-C and it's got a jack plug. That's going to please some people. I'm suspicious that the camera may not be very good quality, because this app is the same as the Doogee Mix camera app, and I know that's not very good. Anyway, only time will tell on that. Anyway, you know how this works. I'm going to use this for a week now. I'm going to set it up and use it as my main phone for a week, and then I will post back with my impressions on what it's actually like to use in real life. If we discover anything interesting along the way, there might be a midweek update. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.